Superman 1983-7 here. Mystical Forest, Nick, how the fuck are you doing, man? You're still up to it. You're talking about your Bible, and I see that in the newer videos you replace your 300 poster with what looks to be like an amendment or something, and put some books behind you. It's good that you're reading, Nick. Unfortunately, you're reading apologetic material, which is pretty much all you're going by. Now, last time I left you, I tried to tell you to get a different view on everything. Now, when I tell you to get a different view on everything is you have to read, pretty much literature from both sides, not just your side, what you think is right, because, let's face it, Nick, me and the rest of the YouTube community think you're a fucking moron. Why do we think you're a fucking moron, Nick? Well, it's quite simple. Let me put it this way. You have no fucking idea what you're talking about. Half the stuff that you say that sounds partially intelligent is when you're sitting there stumbling over your words trying to read an article off the internet. And that's just because someone else wrote that article. Now, I've watched a lot of your videos. I've been gone for a while. I've watched most of your videos just to get myself caught up in your absurdities. You just don't like evolution at all. Don't care if you don't like evolution, Nick. And you know what? It doesn't even really matter if you don't like evolution or if other people don't like evolution. Mostly Bible thumpers don't like evolution for one fact. It puts down their creation story. The first chapter in their Bible goes to fucking hell as soon as evolution comes into play. And then you say evolution doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense at all. Therefore, creation. Now listen to yourself here and then rewind. Evolution doesn't make sense. Therefore, creation must be true. Creation is a much better explanation how everything happened. God created everything out of him, just mystically created everything, and everything was. No evolution, no lineage in any chain, which, by the way, Nick, I've told you before, we can prove that we are descendants from apes. Then you go into talking about birds and dinosaurs. Well, the reason we think birds came from dinosaurs is A, because there's a lot of keratin in both A, the scales, and B, the feathers. And what probably happened, Nick, is the cold temperatures. You remember, back when the dinosaurs were alive? Yeah, that big cold front that came over killed most of them. Well, what happens is when a body or a person or an animal or a living being comes in contact with secondary forces in nature where it comes too cold, the body tries to adapt. Therefore, the keratin created a fluffy layer. Not meant to fly in the first place, Nick. Not at all. Scales went from scales to feathers for the simple fact that they're pretty much the same thing if you genetically look at them. One's fluffy and one's hard, but genetically they have around the same makeup. Same proteins, same keratin that goes throughout it. Now, it wasn't for flight, but it was for warmth. After a while, yeah, they did evolve and they did get wings. And transitional records, like when you're talking about Charles Darwin, Charles Darwin talked in the second chapter, I think second or third chapter of his book was The Finch, right? And it's the Galapagos Islands, Nick, not what you said in one of your videos. Anyway, you can't take that many forms of the same bird, right? Which just have different beak aspects and colors and things like that. But for every intent and purpose, it's the exact same bird inside and out everywhere else. And say that evolution, made this and happened. It's ridiculous. Because this does not happen. This does, God doesn't create every little living bird. He doesn't create anything. Men, not from dust and everything else. So, Nick, since I've been gone, you've systematically made yourself into a bigger moron by pretending to know anything about anything. I see now that our faults, and everybody that has ever even responded to you, was to say read a book, and then you go into the apologetics part and not even read fully through the apologetics material, because every apologetic cited, right, if published, cannot cannot publish anything liable, right? Anything that can deem not true. So if you turn down facts and evolution, what they would have to do is they'd have to say that they were wrong. Like, they can prove that this is true, but they don't believe the fact of such and such is true, right? They can provide all the material they want, but they'll have to cover their tracks somewhere in those lines, because once something is proven fact, again, Nick, if we go back a few months, means true, T-R-U-E. Then what will happen there, Nick, is if they didn't provide all that information, or cite that they are not completely correct, then they would get charged, and the company that published the book would get charged, and so on and so on. So, Nick, what do we do here? What can we say about you? Okay, well, one, you have no idea, or you have no idea how to even comprehend evolution. All right, it's just not part of your makeup. Your brain can't handle it. I'm quite shocked that your brain can handle, pretty much just watching TV, even if it's, BNN or CNN or whatever. You're into politics, Nick. Why don't you stick to politics? At least you can have an opinion in there, right? Even if they're wrong, no one cares, because it's politics. And, those are your views. And you can get in arguments with other people on political views. And that's not a problem. But the whole thing is, Nick, you can't prove God exists. And you want to know why you can't prove God exists? Because no one else can prove God exists. That's the problem with believing in Christianity, or, Judeo-Christian philosophy, is just, you can't take it into literal context for one reason. No one can prove it outside of it. There's nothing to back anything up. There's no historical data besides the Bible, and everything in the Bible, stories of certain people, and Genesis is a huge fairy tale, big fairy tale. And whether you can grasp that or not, I don't really care. Secondly, you past that, you got Revelations, which is, taken into literal context is just absurd. It's absurd. But it's not supposed to be taken into literal context. It's supposed to be taken into spiritual context, which would then, Nick, provide you with what? It would probably come out of the book of Daniel, when he had that big dream thing go on. Yeah, it's probably more of a series of dreams, which was what would probably, anybody that studies the Bible will probably tell you that the best way to look at Revelations would be as a listing or writings of series of dreams. It's not actually literal. It's not supposed to be taken literally true. It can't be, if there's too many fallacies and problems with it to actually be taken literally true. So, Nick, you are still an idiot. You still have no idea what you're talking about at all. And, as I said before, stick to your politics, because science and biology and chemistry, anything in the sciences department that even includes math, is really not your forte. So, what I'm going to say to you is, if you want to have more arguments with me, Nick, I love making you look like an idiot. That's great. I love it. But, save your own, save your own self-worth, and say, what, maybe I shouldn't do these anymore. Maybe all those people that are writing comments are right. I am an idiot. I don't know what I'm talking about. Because, Nick, look at your comments. 85% of them are people saying that you're a moron. So, you're probably a moron. Just saying. Anyway, buddy, peace out.